Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to Reddit Aliens. I'm John, and as always, thank you so much for being here. Good topic, lots of answers. Let's do it. How close have you ever come to dying? Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Got last rites around day 12 of being in ICU with sepsis, gangrene, double pneumonia, and high temperature. Fever broke on day 20. Lost 25% of my weight in under 30 days. 75 days with no solid food, lots of IV glucose calories and clear broth. Took over a year to walk a normal stride while fully upright. Not today, Satan. When I was 8 years old, a chandelier almost fell on top of me in my living room. I was watching a movie, Lilo and Stitch, when I heard a crack. Looked up, and the huge chandelier was about to fall on top of me. I rolled off the couch and it barely missed me. I still had tons of cuts from all the glass though, just not a direct hit. Last December, I was in a bad car wreck where I was T-boned on the driver's side. I spent a few hours in the ER before being discharged at 3 a.m., then went to work at 5 a.m. I felt like shit. I worked Friday, Saturday, and Sunday before asking my mom to please take me back to the hospital where I was admitted ASAP because my blood pressure was so bad. After some tests, they told me I was close to kidney failure, had a collapsed lung on the right side that was quickly filling with pus because I also had influenza and had a bruised liver. Spent 3 weeks in the hospital in critical care, had about 3 surgeries, 2 to place and then reposition a tube into my lung to suction out the pus and 1 to remove it 3 weeks later. Many times I wanted to die. I even begged my mom to take care of my kids because I was so sure I was not going to make it. Since then, I've waken up every morning and been thankful that I can draw a full breath. I was walking home from the gym in my small city and a guy in a van tried to ask my name and give me a ride to wherever I was going. When I denied, he positioned the van on the sidewalk in front of me, then ended up following me home until he U-turned away. A year later, I found out that he was a serial killer, flayed girls and all. Was well known in the town too and awaiting trial. There was a memorial for his victims near the site. A victim's body was found too. This past Sunday I had my first severe asthma attack as an adult. I've always had asthma since I was around 1 to 2 years old, but it's always been in control for the most part. This was the first time I lost control and had to go to an emergency room to get treated. The 13 minutes it took from me saying I needed to go to the ER to getting to the ER felt like death in front of me. Last March, I had a massive amount of blood clots in my lungs. I passed out at home. My parents took me to the hospital where I spent 5 days hooked up to an IV. I am now on blood thinners for the rest of my life. Near-miss traffic incidents, particularly on the freeway at sunset, with the sun in my unwashed windshield creating a bloom effect so I can't see shit as I get run off into the shoulder trying to merge onto the freeway. 5 seconds later, I may have hit the end of the safety rail on the shoulder, going about 70. Pretty close. Came to hospital with heart problems. They gave me drug that was supposed to help. It made me struggle to breathe and I passed out. Woke up to find nurses running around with an oxygen mask strapped on me. So that was fun. A couple of hours. Pulmonary saddle embolism. Went to the ER. When they did the scan, they said the doctor would see me in a few hours. He was back in 10 minutes, saying I had to go upstairs to surgery immediately. And every new doctor I'd seen after always said the same thing. How are you still alive? I guess it was rather large, lol. Meningitis as a kid. I don't remember much about it apart from the hallucinations from the fever and seeing my mother and stepdad sobbing when they thought I was asleep. The kindest nurse I ever met who stayed overnight with me and my parents, and a vague memory of my elderly grandfather running with me in his arms when he brought me to the hospital and shouting at people to help. I just remember thinking, he's too old, he can't run. I came very close. That's the thing with kids. They deteriorate very quickly but can come back fast too. I do remember my mom crying when a doctor suggested a priest visit. We were Catholic, but not practicing, and it was bad enough that she had people searching for my absent biological dad so he could at least see me or say goodbye. We've talked about it when I grew up, and she said the doctors had warned her gently that nothing more could be done than they were already doing. I'd been asleep the whole day and night and woke up thinking only 20 minutes had gone by. I spent most of the time confused. It took a while to recover, but I recovered, and it gave me my love of reading since there was nothing else to do from there. Famous 5 books the nurse smuggled in instead of boring coloring books. Parents, if your kid has a fever, can't stand the daylight, a rash that doesn't fade under a glass, rolled under the skin, torso, back, arms, legs, stiff neck, flu symptoms, get to the ER or A&E or call for an ambulance. Well, I'm glad you don't remember that, and I'm glad you're still here to tell this story. It's scary, but you're here. I once fell from 15 meters, that's about 45 feet for our American friends, and I was sure I was going to die once I hit the pavement, but surprisingly didn't have any scratch or broken bone, although my chin hurt a bit upon impact. Spontaneous lower intestinal bleed. We never did find out the cause. Lost 2/3 of my blood volume in 12 hours. Went to the emergency room the first day. Physician in charge sent me home. The following morning, I had so little blood left, my heart couldn't pump. Side note, it would not have been an unpleasant way to go. I got a little dizzy on day 2. I took a 10-pack of ecstasy one night and remembered laying on the floor with my friends in a circle around me. I had quadruple vision. Everybody had 4 heads. Then my vision went normal again, but I was floating above the crowd and thought, what the hell are they looking at? Then I realized they were looking at me on the floor. Then things got weird, and I don't have words to describe what I experienced, but I guess it's what people describe as a life review. But it was an out of order and jumbled up, and then I was talking to strangers about stuff I don't have any knowledge of, and it was like, Jesus, how do I know any of this? It was like in that moment I had universal knowledge, or cosmic consciousness. Then I felt what was like a rubber band pull me crazy fast backwards, and I was suddenly back in my body, and the head of my friend say, call 911. I grabbed his arm and asked him who hurt. He said they thought I was dying and everybody was freaking out. I said, I'm fine, man. Let's load the bong. And we did. I never fooled with ecstasy after that, and I've never really had any fear of death either, but I want to stick around for a while. Don't do drugs, kids. Took a Xanax or 2 for the first time, then accepted rum and coke, amount unknown, mixed in some weed. Ended up home on 3 wheels, parked perfectly backed into my space. Only the metal rim was left. No memory of driving, and it was at night. How did I get arrested? To drive into a tree is beyond me. Never did it again. PSA, don't drink and drive. Not me personally, but I know a guy who was addicted to heroin. He got clean, and one day, scared he was going to relapse, but he decided he would rather be dead than relapse. So he jumped off the Arthur Ravenel Jr. Bridge and somehow survived, and is now eating around like nothing happened. Nearly froze to death in Poland in 2017 while I was in the US Army. It was about 3 a.m. and -5 degrees outside, and got told to wait in the vehicle. I fell asleep from exhaustion and got woken up 2 hours later. Never been so cold in my life to my core, and was so confused I didn't know what I was doing. A little longer and I don't think I would have made it. Friend shot me with a bottle rocket in the neck once. The ER nurse told me if he had been standing any closer, it would have gone deep enough to sever arteries, and I probably would have drowned. I remember a time when safety regulations were at an all-time low for heavy-duty mechanics. We didn't have all the safety equipment that young people have today. I was working and on a 1-ton ram on a car lift, which at the time had no safety locks. I was underneath the heavy truck looking for an oil leak. Don't question my techniques. I started hearing a very loud creaking sound, so I swiftly walked out from underneath the vehicle, and as soon as I was clear, the hydraulic pump burst, letting the full weight of the vehicle fall down. If it weren't for my great sense of hearing, I wouldn't be here today to share the story. The truck was half an inch from hitting my head on security footage. Stupid kid move. I was trying to pull a clip up with a screwdriver. I was pushing right toward my face with the tip, and it slipped and hit the inside top bone of my eye socket, 1/4 inch lower than I would have been taken out the eye and probably put a screwdriver through my brain. Let's just say I learned a valuable lesson that day that I won't repeat. Pretty close. I almost drowned when I was like 6 or 7. I went to the deep end of the hotel pool and quickly started drowning. I literally don't remember learning to do this, but I started sinking, jumping, and raising my head above the water to alert people. My older cousin thankfully saved me after quite a bit. When I was around 2 to 3, I was a fast learner, so I knew how to walk, run, climb, etc. So me, my mom, and my brother went to the Grand Canyon. When we arrived, we went to the edge, and there were some big rocks, so my mom was pretty confident I wasn't able to fall off. So my mom goes a bit far away to take an edge with no rocks to get a good photo with my brother. But my mom turns around, and I'm quite literally inches away from death, sitting on the edge of the rocks. So she obviously goes to pick me up, but I ran away on the rocks laughing and giggling. Little did I know, I was a mess up away from falling off. But she safely got me down, and we got home quick. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We just never went anywhere at all until I was older, and my mom is really nice. But, you know, that was kind of stupid to leave a 2-year-old at the edge of a cliff. First grade, on the way to school over an unsecured railroad crossing, I was talking to my mother about something and walked onto the train track without looking. I had forgotten what I wanted to say and stopped for a moment. All I hear is screaming from behind me, and then shortly afterwards a loud booming noise to my left. A train was heading straight towards me and was already extremely close. After that, the entire world around me became slow. I could clearly see everything around me, and I could not see my life passing by me. Then something came to mind. I haven't experienced anything yet. I don't want to die yet. Everyone just teased me in kindergarten. It can't end like this. So I started sprinting. It felt like my legs were running around in the air like a comic book before somehow got away from the spot. I reached the other side with a shock and no further injuries. I looked back and heard my mother shouting, "Come back," in slow motion, as if she hadn't yet realized it was safe. The train rushed over the level crossing and everything went back to normal. After that, I was never allowed to go that route again until 8th grade, LMAO. Oh yeah, because of that, slowly. Apparently, this often happens to boxers when they'd had too much adrenaline or something like that. I don't know. In my opinion, that doesn't exactly fit with what's happening, but any magical powers on a whole in the Matrix just makes me even less sense.